Hey, it's Scott from San Marcos Makes. On today's video, it's going to be a little bit different. I wanted to talk about 5 things that I have learned this year. Since this is kind of my first year into really getting into woodworking, I wanted to talk about 5 things that I've learned this year so that it will help you if you're just starting out in this venture. Whether they were a mistake I made or buying advice on tools, but these are the 5 things that I wish I would have knew before I started this about a year ago. Let's see what they are. Number 5. First thing that we're going to talk about, number 5, no particular order, but it's know where to get your wood from. Know where to get quality wood from. In the beginning, there is definitely nothing wrong with going to Big Orange and Big Blue. I have a Big Blue, Lowe's, for those that don't know that code, probably less than a mile from my house. I go there a lot. The biggest reason I go there a lot is, yes, it's close, but they give a veteran's discount. Incredible. I love that about them. They're not going to sell good quality hardwoods. They're not even going to sell good quality lumber. But when you're starting out, need plywood, need 2x4s, definitely the place to go because it's easy to get there, not because it's cheaper. So you want to search for hardwood dealers. If there is, and you're a part of the world, there may be many of them. I live in an area that does have at least a couple. Plus we have some woodcraft stores. So I have an okay selection. I did in the very beginning find a local hardwood dealers. I will put their information down below if you happen to be in the San Marcos area. And I got a heck of a deal a long time ago. They had all their scraps and these were good size. I got some black walnut, some cypress. I've been the same walnut you've seen in all my videos. That's where all of it came from. And one time I got all of that. And it was like $5 for a 6-foot piece of cypress and $5 for black walnut. It's steel. I'm not gonna get that every time. And yes, there was definitely issues with that wood, but it was really cheap and I could practice with it and I've made cutting boards with it. I'm not making fine furniture with it, so it worked perfect for me. So ask places for scraps if you find a hardwood dealer in the beginning. But there's definitely nothing wrong with going to the big box stores to get wood. They're the easiest place to get wood. Just to give you an example, here's a piece of Purple Heart. I still don't know the fascination with Purple Heart, but I bought it. Extremely hardwood. And for this piece, and I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it was $34. That's a lot of money to deal with, but I've used it a lot. I save every piece of my scrap that's probably over there an inch. Save that, use it as practice. So, number 5, find places to get good quality lumber, wood, hardwoods, softwoods, and know where to get them from. Number 4, I think every YouTuber talks about this, or every woodworker. It's buy the tool that you need, not the tool you want. You don't have to start off with all the fancy tools. So definitely buy what you need. Where do you start? Buy some cheap hand-me tools. Go to pawn shops. I've been fortunate. I've bought some tools throughout the years. I had a table saw and a miter saw before I really got into this. I had a drill. I had this. So really think about what are the tools you need. Some of the latest tools that I've bought over this year, I bought a simple router and router table. I bought my beautiful bandsaw, which I'll show in a minute. I'll try to take some pictures and add this to the video of some of the tools that I have. But buy the tools you need. If you don't need a planer yet, don't buy it. Find the project, then find the tool. Or think about the tools that you have. What project can I build with those tools? You don't have to go out and buy the most fanciest tools. Buy what's reasonable, buy what you need, and don't waste the money on the wood and the projects before you have to waste all the money on the tools. Use the tools, learn how to use them. You'll be much, much happier, and your pocketbook will be much more happier. Number 3, know when to buy cheap and know when to step up and buy something. Good example, clamps. Good general rule, if you walk into Harbor Freight, buy a clamp. I have a couple different styles of clamps, F-style clamps, squeeze clamps. As a good rule of thumb, if I walk into Harbor Freight, I'm gonna buy a clamp. This is like $3-4 at my local Harbor Freight. You can never have enough. Are they the best F-style clamp? No. Will they work? Absolutely. The competitor to this, what are the Bessies and stuff like that? It may be $20. That's saving a lot of money. Irwin's, all of that, that's way more. Harbor Freight's the way to go. Now, not that this Porter cable is the greatest, but would I go to Harbor Freight and buy a drill? Of course not, unless that's where my budget was at. I had this one, so I didn't have to buy it. Same thing with a sander. I needed an Orbital sander. I did have a sander, but it wasn't great, so I wanted to get an Orbital sander. Is Craftsman the best brand out there? Of course not, but it does the work. It does fine. I'm not doing it every day. Jigsaw. I did actually already have this one, but if I was gonna buy one today, would I go out and buy a top of the line? Probably not. Mainly because I have this beautiful bandsaw. But again, know when to spend the money, know when to walk into Harbor Freight or walk into Lowe's, Home Depot, and buy those tools. Wait, I forgot one on cheap items. Learn something. When I bought my router, I had to get router bits. And so I went and looked at router bits, and router bits are very expensive on one end, very cheap on the other end. So I'm like, hey, let's go to Harbor Freight, and bought router bits. These are garbage. I wouldn't say they're a waste of the time because I kind of learned what each one of them did, but they're pretty garbage. They're gonna chip out on you a lot. I had bought a couple, I bought a Bosch and a couple others, and they're so much better. It is much, much worth it. So if you're gonna buy one of those big, huge 50 packs of router bits, no, the quality is probably not gonna be good. And if you just need to learn how to use some of those bits, fantastic. Maybe then with those big multi-packs, find the ones that you're always using and then go buy the better brand, the Bosches, the Freuds. It's worth getting the better one of those. So router bits, I recommend getting the better quality stuff, or buy the cheap stuff until you know what types you need, what sizes you need, and then you want to step up and get something better. Number 2. I think I got this from Steve Ramsey. It's all about building a box. So this is the very first, if I want to think of it in this time frame, is first box I ever made. And basically, and I have no idea what video it was on, but he was basically, the point of it was, if you can build a box, you can almost build anything in woodworking. And if you really think about a lot of the stuff, shop furniture, picture frames, crosscut sled, it's all about building a box. Bigger, smaller, learning joining. And this is horrible. I wouldn't say horrible, but hopefully now I could do a better job. There's gaps, but it's all about, can you make that good square? So I kept this to try to see, remember where I came from. And it's not like I'm this much better woodworker, because I'm not. I learn every day, but it's start with a box. If you can build a box and be able to put bottoms and tops and cutting different joineries out, it's not just about putting nails. It's, can you do, and I can't, but can you do the dovetails and fancy joinery? half laps and practice. Grab some cheap softwood and make you some boxes. That's going to help you more than anything. If you can make a good square box, you can almost make anything with it. So that is definitely my number 2 tip. Make a box and keep that box. We'll always keep this box. It normally sits on my shelf. My shelf is kind of getting a little crowded, but I will put it right back up there. Haven't seen it up there in a while, so you can see it in my videos. But it helps me think about where I came from. So, number 2, build a box. Get this stuff off. Number 1. In the industry that I am, and probably almost every industry, safety is number 1, and it can't be any different in the shop. I have all fingers and toes. I want to keep it that way, and I'm sure you want to keep it that way. Woodworking is extremely dangerous, not just for cutting something off. Lungs, hearing, eyes, all of those. Wear your PPE. There's all kind of stuff out there. Find the ways to make you safe. Think about everything you're fixing to do and how to get out of it if something goes wrong. These simple things. You've got to have quality eye protection. Z87 is the ANSI standard that you want to look for when you're buying safety glasses. And yes, most will come that way, a Z87 if you're buying safety glasses. But you want side shields. I am really a big fan of these. I've been using these for almost a year now, and I really like them. If I can find them, I bought them off Amazon. I'll throw a link down at the bottom. But they fit comfortably. I enjoy them. Got the side shields. So definitely want eye protection. Also want hearing protection. These are the 3Ms. They work really good because I can play a podcast and do some woodworking, but it's protecting your ears. I want to be able to hear some things. But earplugs work great. Anything that works better than some of these loud saws. As much as I hate wearing a face mask after these last couple of years, all this sawdust is making all that stuff go up into your lungs. You definitely want a face mask. I'll be completely honest. It's the PPE that I wear the least, though I should be. Trying to get better, but let's be honest, in 2020, now in 2021, do we really want to be wearing masks? Yes, I should, but it drives me absolutely bonkers. I need to get a better quality mask. But right now, the Vader mask will work pretty good. One that a lot of people don't use that I think is important is a good quality apron. You always see me wear my apron if I'm doing this. I really like this Cat's Moses apron. It's one of the very first things I got. I was so proud to get it. I was looking for a great quality apron. This is a very affordable apron. Again, all this gear I can put links down, no issues there. Highly recommend a good quality apron. I'm not going to say it's going to stop everything, but it definitely gives you protection. But it also protects the clothes. You don't want to tear up your clothes every time you're going into the shop. Good quality apron. The other thing I was going to talk about real quickly are gloves. For the most part, gloves are not the best thing to do when you're doing woodworking. But where they are good is when you're handling wood and handling sharp things. But if you're using your saws, using table saws, jigsaws, sanders, it's probably not the best idea to have gloves on. They can easily grab and make a whole bigger problem. So think about when it's appropriate to wear gloves, when it's not appropriate to wear gloves. But other than that, let's make some sawdust and put this gear on. Whew, and we'll get to work. So that was my 5 things that I think you should know as a woodworker in the beginning. If you've been doing this for years, you know all this stuff. I'm not telling you anything new. This is definitely geared towards the new woodworker. I still consider myself a new woodworker. This is the things that I either kind of wish I knew, many of the things that I talked about, or the things that I wish I would have known. Watch lots of YouTube. Talk to people, find woodworkers in your community, find out what they do, get those tips and tricks. Find some of those smaller YouTube channels. You're gonna learn so much more because they don't have all these fancy tools that some of these, definitely nothing wrong with some of these big time YouTubers. They've got better tools than we all have. We know it. Support those smaller YouTube channels. See what they're doing. I think I get a lot more from them. It's very neat. The entertainment value is probably higher on those channels, the John Maleckis and Jimmy DiResta's, but I sure don't learn as much as I do from a very small 731 Woodworks type style channel. I learn more from those types of channels, and hopefully one day you'll get some stuff out of my channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and thank you for if you've made it this far. Appreciate it. Have a great evening.